What's up? It's Tuesday here. We're starting week 10. This is Fantasy Q&A. I'm Patrick Claybon. He is Adam Rank. How are you on this Tuesday?
I'm doing well. There are some leagues I'm doing very, very well in, and then my league of record, I finally fell into last place.
It happens.
I had Breece Hall. I thought I had overcome drafting Aaron Jones. My first three picks were Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts. Oh, I got superstars at every level. Not so much. Aaron Jones, Kyle Pitts have been garbage, but I had Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, and I'm like, I'll survive, and then Breece gets hurt. How about you? How are you?
Well, yeah, in our Fantasy Live League, which I count as my league of record, lost Breece Hall, Mark Andrews being out.
Oh, yeah.
I started out 5-1. I've lost now 3 consecutive games. And
That's right.
It's tough.
But that's a good team, but you drafted such a great team.
Yeah.
Getting Breece Hall.
Got to work on the wire, folks.
Yeah,
you got to be consistent with your work on the wire. Don't relax when you have a good team. And if you're worried, if you feel like your team is good, send us questions. Get the information that you need because we got it's not a bye-mageddon, but we do have the Ravens, the Patriots, a couple other teams on a bye. At NFL Fantasy on Twitter, at Adam Rank, at Patrick Claybon. Just at us. There's only one segment where you don't. We have our first question. It's from Average Gamer 15. Don't sell yourself short, dog. Do I trade Joe Mixon while he's hot?
This is always the thing that we talk about. I love these questions every week, but I do feel that because the Bengals are on a bye, it's going to be very difficult to move him for a lot of value. Now, I do like the idea because, you got his great game and you want to move on for him. I would say probably. I think that, what we saw out of the first couple of weeks was, I don't know if troubling is the right word, but right. I just don't think that he has the consistency. And really it goes back to the entirety of his career. And he's never really lived up to expectations except for last season. So people overdrafted him this year. The rebuilt offensive line has not been playing that well. So when you get one of these outlier games, yeah, I think this is probably the time to move him.
Yeah, it's something you said yesterday that really jumped out, and it holds true for so many things. We're going to look at Joe Mixon next year, and we're going to see the total points.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to see the total points, and people are going to forget that 55 of those points came in one game. People complained about inconsistency with guys over the past few years. Oh, it's good one game and then not good. We want consistency over the course of a season.
Yeah.
Because you're playing in season-long leagues. So pay attention to what somebody does the whole time. Thank you for the question.
See how many top 12 finishes he has.
Yeah, for sure. Here comes Theodore McNeil, the second. Dollar Bill McNeil. Should we be concerned going forward with Amon-Ra St. Brown's production?
It's funny. We did this on NFL Fantasy Live. We did a little chill bra, not to give too much away. I do feel like there is a little bit of concern because his average depth of target has not been as much as you would like. And one of the guys, I'm so sorry. There was somebody on SiriusXM who made a great point, too, about he's not getting a lot of yak yardage. And so I apologize. I would love to give the proper credit for the guy who pointed that out. But it is startling, and you go in and look at it, like he's not making plays after the catch where you see like Cooper Kupp takes a screen pass 60 yards for a touchdown. And these elite level wide receivers are doing that. But I think that it's okay to look at Amon-Ra St. Brown and be like, look, he's a good number 2 guy. I doubt that you drafted him as a number 1. And if you have him there with, a Justin Jefferson, I think for the role that he's playing in that part of your offense, I think he's great. And there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. And that's just the way that fantasy football goes. How do you feel about him?
Well, I mean, we just saw it in those highlights. A lot of bracketing. Just in terms of the options for Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown is really it. And I think T.J. Hockenson hurts. Of course, it's going to hurt when you lose a top value tight end like that. It goes across the division. But yes, you're concerned, but I don't really know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to move Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're coming up on the trade deadline here in a couple of weeks. You stick with – it's kind of like a DeAndre Swift type situation. We want Detroit to be what it was at the start of the season. They're never going to be that. But do you value it enough to just try to hang on and win a fantasy championship? And I'm keeping him.
I'm curious, too, to see how the Bears handle it this week because the Bears have good corners. I think their secondary is really good. They can't get to the quarterback anymore. And it wasn't exceptionally good when Bobby Quinn was there, but it's a noticeable drop-off that he's not there. So I'm curious to see how much time Jared Goff gets this week. And if he bounces back and has another huge game against the Bears, then I think he can be like, okay, he's going to be a guy who's going to be a solid number 2 for you. And I think that's fine. Not everybody can be Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. So it's okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and also fingers crossed. Hold on, I hope Jamison Williams could make his debut. Maybe takes the top off of defense, opens things up.
He can wait a week.
Amon-Ra
You don't
St. Brown.
have to come back this week. But yeah.
Yeah, not now. Pat, nice name. Wants to know: is it time for me to move on from Herbert as quarterback?
Man, this is one that I really kind of, I'm kind of shocked to see this unfolding the way that it has. Now, of course, a lot of it could have to do with the injury concerns. When you're sitting there with busted ribs, it's difficult to take advantage of your mobility, which is actually one of his strengths. But still, he's not making great reads all the time. He's still really good. I think that Joshua Palmer, kind of bailed him out a couple of times last week, but that's a bad throw, though. That was just not a good throw. Like, there's some decisions you look at. That's kind of like Josh Palmer, the fact that he was able to hold on to that ball right there was a miracle. I don't know. I think that the Chargers are scuffling right now, and they got to start to put it together. And I think that, a lot of that's going to lean on Austin Eckler. And so for me, I think that his production's going to be capped. And it's one of the problems. I don't know who you're starting over him. I think that if you had a team where you picked up Geno Smith, if you picked up Justin Fields, then I think it's time to move on. If you're looking at the waiver wire and being like, should I pick up Sam Ehlinger? I think no.
Yeah.
I think we're okay with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, the problem is for me that Herbert has descended into that Daniel Dimes territory.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
that's a good idea.
You still get the rushing upside with Dimes, but Herbert, like you said, when you're playing with broken ribs, there's a limit to what you could do.
Yeah.
And also the guys around him weren't really inspiring a lot of confidence in Atlanta. So, it depends on who's on the wire, Pat, but consider it. I would just say.
What's funny is I shouldn't say this, but Joe Lombardi lives near me. And I see him at the gym every once in a while. At the gym, I'm kidding. At the Del Taco. Who am I? Listen, do I look like I go to the gym? No.
At least he can find Del Taco in a lot of places.
Yeah, that's true.
So Joe Lombardi.
I try to be cool and be like, I go to the gym. Like, I don't.
Going to Del Taco is cool too, though.
I love Del Taco.
Great value.
Del Taco 23 is the bomb.
Thomas Dotson, who probably enjoys a nice taco with some French fries. I picked up Justin Fields for Lamar Jackson's bye next week. Unfortunately, didn't start him this week. But moving forward, do I dare sit Lamar for Fields? This is a first world problem, my friend.
Yeah, I don't hate the decision for you to start Lamar Jackson this week. I think that for a lot of people, they picked up Justin Fields as a speculative ad just to see what happens. Is this going to be sustainable? And now he's got the Detroit Lions this week. And you look at Lamar's matchup, they're on a bye. So I think you're in a pretty good spot. The question becomes what you do after the bye week, because they play the Panthers. I'm talking about the Ravens. They play the Panthers. They play a lot of teams that are under 500. Their only team that they play with a record above 500 is Cincinnati in Week 18. So it doesn't even matter for fantasy football. So obviously you're starting Justin Fields this week. I would be of the mind to try to trade one of them and let's see what happens. And I do believe that obviously, this is working out perfect for you because Justin Fields playing this week against Detroit should be pretty good. And we see this offense coming to life. And that's the one thing that I think a lot of people wanted to see. And we're talking about just like there, like you can tell, like he just knows, like when you see this in the all 22 and you see what he's sort of seeing, you're like, oh, now I get it. Like he just looks, he's like, oh, I got all this. And this is a good dime. Like the funniest thing to me is the Packers fans trying to cope right now. Being like, hey, the one thing with running quarterbacks is that they have a short shelf life. Lamar Jackson seems to be doing fine. And the good news is Justin Fields is a pocket passer who just happens to be super fast. So deal with it.
Have they been watching number 12 play football for the past 15 years? It's not like he was just standing there.
You could categorize. That's one of the things too. And that's one of the things.
What a weird thing to say.
I wish that the Packers would dial up some designed runs for Aaron. Like unless he doesn't want to do it, which I could understand. You've got senioritis. You're ready to go live in a wigwam and eat peyote, which is fine. Like I get it.
People eat it?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm not that familiar. I don't know. Can I say shrooms on here?
If they don't serve it at Del Taco, I don't know what it's all about.
True.
Coming up here on Fantasy Q&A, we're taking some more of your questions. Also, we're giving our favorite buy low candidates. That's next on Q&A when we come back.
Love that.
On November 13th, the NFL debuts in Germany live on NFL Network. Brady and the Bucks battle Geno and the Seahawks. Wake up and watch with the world. It's Sunday Morning Football live from Munich, Sunday, November 13th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network, also streaming on NFL Plus. But we're going to keep things going here on Fantasy Q&A.
Do you feel like they play fantasy football in Germany?
They have to.
They have to. So it seems weird that they wouldn't send us, the ambassadors of the game of fantasy football, to Germany.
It is nice to meet you, your peoples, and your culture. We are here to spread good faith in football. Rapid fire. Let's put
rapid fire.
Couple minutes on the clock. Answer as many questions as we can. Are you ready, Ray?
I'm really going to try to get through these.
Let's get one. Splow, how you like me now? It says CEH droppable.
I'm going to say no because the Chiefs, in order to be successful this season, have to establish some sort of running game, so I'm still hopeful that it can be CEH.
Yeah, when it came down to it, they needed to make a play. Yitzhak Saban says, is Geno a must-start every week?
I mean, unless you have Patrick Mahomes as your starting quarterback, I would think that Geno Smith is probably pretty safe to start for the rest of the year. I'd start him over Tom Brady this week, speaking of that Germany game.
Absolutely. Josh Saxton, is Jeff Wilson the new number 1 in Miami?
This is a dangerous game to play. I would not necessarily assume that that's going to be the case. I know he had a couple of nice runs against the Bears, but at the same time, I still believe that Raheem Mostert is going to be a factor there. So until we see this week to week, I'm still going to feel like this is a timeshare split.
All right, we have the 2,478,000 2,962nd edition of William. It says, should I bench Leonard Fournette?
You know what? I'm going to say that this week's matchup against the Seattle Seahawks is tougher than a lot of people believe. Without knowing your roster, I still think that because he was targeted 7 times last week, that Leonard Fournette is somebody that still needs to be started.
Next question comes from Brady Church. What do I do with Kyle Pitts?
I don't know, dude. I wish I had the answer for you. I got to start him. Like, I'm trying to trade him. And any time that I'm offering trades, I try to include Kyle Pitts as a throw-in. And be like, oh, just get rid of him. Because if he's not on my roster, then I don't feel like I'm compelled to start him.
We're after the trade deadline, so after we dropped him yesterday on the show, he couldn't get traded. George Sanders says, can I cut Darren Waller?
Is it after the trade deadline?
Yep. Oh, well, no, not our trade line. The real one. Real life football. Did George cut Darren Waller?
I mean, you could. I wouldn't advise it, but you could. I mean, it's burning a roster spot, but I think that if Darren Waller does rebound and he's healthy and he's ready to go, that he is an elite level tight end to where, like, I'm not starting him necessarily, but I don't feel like he should just be on the waiver wire.
Yeah, do what you need to do to get to the tournament. JoJo says, should I start Michael Pittman?
You know what? I sort of dig Sam Ehlinger. There's craziness. If there's ever a week to start Sam Ehlinger, like if you have Joe Burrow and you forgot and you spaced, and you're like, well, I can't go pick up Geno Smith. I can't go pick up Justin Fields. Like, all right, let's roll the dice. Tyler Heineke's gone. Like, whatever. Let's go, Sam Ehlinger.
All right, it's time to play trade or fade now that we've done.
Oh, we still have another thing?
Yeah, we got another thing in this segment.
I'm sorry, everybody.
We're going to talk about if you would trade for these guys right now, while you can buy them low, or would you fade them moving forward and avoid them? We'll start with Josh Jacobs, who was so hot in week 5, 6, and 7. Week 8, 43 yards. Week 9, 67 yards. Trade or fade?
You know, the real Josh Jacobs is starting to show up. I would try to trade for him. I think, again, like this is a situation that I talk about a lot. Like anytime these players start to show a little signs of like going away, like, okay, I'm going to try to swoop in and prey on the forlornness of a manager who has Josh Jacobs, who's been stung over the last couple of weeks. Again, you're getting him at his lowest point. And again, if you have him on your team, you're not getting the most value for him that you could have. You should have traded him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, or maybe the team should have traded him to a functional team. Yeah. They could be good for more than one.
It's a bad situation
in a football game. Aaron Jones left the game early in week 9. He's dealing with an ankle injury.
Yeah.
He's still Aaron Jones, trade or fade.
You know what? If he's still practicing, I still feel really good about him. But the one guy that I would either be, number one, seeing if he's available on the waiver wire, A.J. Dillon, maybe trading for A.J. Dillon. But I think that if you have Aaron Jones, again, like you're not getting, nobody wants him. Believe me, I've tried to trade him. Nobody wants him. You would have to include him in a number of packages. But if you're really good, let's say you have a team that has Kenyon Drake, Damian Pierce, and Kenneth Walker. Well, you can afford to take a risk on Aaron Jones because you can keep him on the bench. And then if in the second half of the season, if he starts crushing it, well, then he just goes in there and replaces one of those other guys. So I think that if you're in a position of luxury where you don't need a running back, you should be trying to acquire Aaron Jones on the cheap and see if you can make a deal that way. Don't give up a lot for him because the value's not there.
People took James Conner and his 18 2021 touchdowns, waited to get him back. He came back, and he's had fewer than 80 yards in every game this season. Trade or fade?
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of him if I have him. I think that this Arizona Cardinals team, remember, they start off good. So these first 8 games, that was the high point of the Cardinals season. Traditionally, they fade in the second half. That fade is probably still going to happen. I am not a big believer in what is going on with the Arizona Cardinals, and all those guys have signed long-term extensions. So this is going to be going on for a while. I don't know. I would try to move off of James Conner, and again, the same thing that I'm saying with all these other players. If you are in a position of strength to where you can acquire guys just to keep on your bench, then you have James Conner right there for you.
All right.
Just to keep on the bench. You don't have to play him yet.
Yeah, just have him there, just in case. Coming up, does DeAndre Swift need to be on your bench? Whew, that's quite the shift. We'll answer that question and more on Fantasy Q&A. Welcome back to Fantasy Q&A. We're going to get some more questions and provide you with some more answers. We start with this tweet from John, Rank.
All right, John.
Is Mecole Hardman a viable wide receiver too? He keeps scoring.
I started reading that for you. I got to be honest with you. I'm very impressed with the way that Mecole Hardman has performed over the last couple of weeks. I think that's been one of the big things that we were concerned about coming into this season about the Chiefs was that we figured Patrick Mahomes was going to continue to go out there and put up great fantasy numbers. Who was going to be their game breaker? Who was going to be their guy that they relied upon? And we had seen for so often, people talked about Mecole Hardman. He was always like a bye-week replacement guy, and you're like, yeah, okay, he's fine. But never really ascended into one of those top roles. But over the last couple of weeks, you really can't ignore what he's been able to do. And he was in a tough matchup this week. That Titans defense is very good, but he's really developing a knack for the end zone. So I would say that in a lot of leagues where you're starting at least 3 wide receivers, that Mecole Hardman is in consideration to play every week.
Yeah, you can't argue that it's not sustainable when he's been sustaining it week after week.
He's been great. Yeah.
So thank you for the question, John. Yeah, go ahead.
I know the question was wide receiver 2 option. I think that, yes. I think about some of the wide receiver 2s who've disappointed this year, and I'm like, yeah, why not? Because I've had a lot of like Brandon Cooks. So he's overtaken that kind of situation.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks also disappointed with his situation. Rick wants to know, what do we do with DeAndre Swift?
Play him? As long as he's healthy and ready to go, we've seen a lot of Jamal Williams, which is always annoying, but I think that DeAndre Swift, you know what? As long as he's getting production. Now, obviously against the Packers here, he didn't touch the ball a lot. So you got to kind of monitor what's happening in practice. If he's fully practicing this week, if he's going off, if he's practicing on Friday and everything seems to be a go. He's got a good matchup this week against the Chicago Bears, who've really struggled to stop running backs. We saw what Jeff Wilson Jr. was able to do. Raheem Mostert got into the end zone. So as long as he's healthy, I think you got to start him this week against the Bears.
Yeah, healthy DeAndre Swift is on your team. He's playing for you. He's in your lineup.
Yeah.
It helps to have good game flow. If the Lions are trailing and Jared Goff's throwing the ball to DeAndre Swift 15 times, that's going to get you points.
Gotta love it. Yeah.
And we could be in that situation.
Could happen this week, yes, for sure.
So thank you for the questions. It's time for Don't At Me.
That's okay.
We'll take the bell whenever.
I'm ready.
Do not at us. We give you stuff, and you just take it.
Yeah.
You don't reply. You don't respond. You don't seek out our social medias either.
Don't find me on LinkedIn
for this particular thing. Everything else is fine. This particular thing. What's your don't at me?
This particular thing. What I'm about to say right here.
This thing.
And what I'm about to say is that Wan'Dale Robinson has his breakout game this week against the Houston Texans. We've been waiting quite some time for it to happen. We've seen glimpses. We've seen flashes, and it looks like he is going to be a really good wide receiver. I even believe that at some point he's going to be a number 1 wide receiver, perhaps this season. The thing is this Houston Texans team is not very good. And they've given up a lot of production. I know they give up a lot of production on the ground, and this could be a huge Saquon game, but I think it also opens it up for Wan'Dale Robinson. And now that they've cleared Kadarius Toney away from this squad, it is up to Wan'Dale Robinson. I know there's some other talented players there, but I think this is time for Robinson to shine, especially coming off the break. So I am going to be getting him into my lineup this week.
There we go. One for Wan'Dale. I have a don't at me, and it's related to the game that we just talked about before Ranks don't at me, and it's about the Detroit Lions. We had a question earlier today about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I am telling you, and you are not going to at me, Amon-Ra St. Brown will score 25 points against the Chicago Bears. I think this is going to be a score fest. The Bears defense, the Lions defense has been playing a little bit better, but still not necessarily great. I think there's a lot of balls going to Amon-Ra St. Brown, a lot of DeAndre Swift as well, but a good Jared Goff game, something that we've been waiting for quite some time, right?
I mean, I've not been waiting for that. I still think watching this, I know that last week it was, the Bears giving up 35 points. I do want to give a little bit of credit to Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, who's the other guy? Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
I mean, those are good players. I don't think the Lions are that good.
Yeah, it's not like,
Mike McDaniel's not the coach of the Lions. I think it'll be fine. I think I'm with you, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know you're going to say DeAndre Swift as well. You think he's going to have a monster game, which is fine. That's the way the Bears are playing football now, and that's okay. It's turned into the Mountain West Conference, and that's fine. I think that's what a lot of Bears fans wanted this season.
Yeah, Dak and Tua back-to-back games isn't Sam Ehlinger and Taylor Heineke.
You know what I'm saying? It's okay.
They're still good. We love the Bears, especially here on this show. Stream NFL Fantasy Q&A every Tuesday and Friday on the NFL Fantasy app. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. You can also find us in the
Tweet
NFL
us.
Fantasy
Let us know
app.
you're watching this.
Yeah.
This is fun. I love doing stuff with Patrick. Oh, in a couple of weeks, we're going to bring back one of Patrick's famous bits from last season on our Wednesday show. Can't wait for that.
A deep tease from Adam Rank.
The fans know. Fans demand it. I demand it.
Also available on the NFL channel. You can find us in the podcast feed for the Fantasy Pod with Mr. Florio and Mr. Marcus Grant. Just so many opportunities. But yeah, as Rank said, tweet at us. Let us know that you're feeling the show. Any other questions you have, do it. For Adam Rank, I'm Patrick Playbon, and we'll see you later.